Good morning from N6TLU. I'm out here in the backyard getting ready to put up my new 10-meter beam. So in this video I'm going to review what I did, and then we're going to put this thing up and get it on the air. So I started off with the beam, obviously, which is the Cushcraft Ten-3. The rotor is the high gain CD45. And then I also have another antenna mounted, which is a long wire inverter V type, which is this new G5RV. It's all on the tower. The tower right now is laying down. Let me walk you through and show you all the features. Alright, let's start at the base of the tower. This is an old tilt-over type with the lead screw. Kind of a cool design. Has this base, which hooks to a block of concrete that's approximately 4 by 5 foot square. There are my coaxes going into the house. So we're at the bottom of the tower. Let's walk our way down. Got my ladder line going to the inverted V. The coaxes are tied inside of the tower. To insulate the ladder line, I actually use pieces of Tyco snap track. So this used to be double the width. So I cut those down and they cut the lengths to 7.5 inches. Use 2 tie straps to stop them from rocking around. They hold the cable just great. So this tower I got for free. It's an aluminum tower, self-standing, and it's seen its days. I think it's fell a couple times. There's some bent areas, but it's still functional. To support the tower while I was working on it, I used this refrigerator dolly. Pretty crafty. Okay, we're getting up to the rotor area. But first I wanted to point out there's a piece of this 80/20 material. That's the boom for the support of the G5RV. Alright. Then we got our rotor, which is the new CDE type, and I use that copper anti-seize solution on all the heads of the screws so I don't get corrosion issues. The pipe here goes up to the nose of the antenna. And I use quite a bit of axle grease to help with the rotation, because this one does not have a thrust bearing installed. Alright, so now we are at the base of the 10-3 beam, and there's something pretty important that I need to point out. So the construction details for the 10-3 in the manual are pretty straightforward, except when it comes to this gamma match. Okay, that's this rod that you see on the lower side of the driven element. This is your adjustment. I still need to put the heat shrink tube over it because I have it set where I want it. Here is where your coax connects. You can see the little nut on the back of it. Make sure to put anti-seize on that. This is a failure point here, so be very careful when you connect it. Also, this mount for the coax is pretty fragile, so you'll notice when you're tightening your coax fitting, you'll see this whole thing flexing. So use extreme caution. Always use this loop, okay, of coax going to your tower, because this antenna needs to swing. Currently, I have it pointed north. I always put a little arrow on the bottom of the beam so I know which way she's going. So this antenna actually swings from north to south, north to south, okay? So you want to make sure that your little loop of your coax can accommodate that. If you get it too short, you're going to stress the coax, eventually breaking it, and you're bringing your antenna back down. I've got the antenna propped up on a step ladder to check the rotor rotation. Currently the antenna is pointed north, so I'm going to go inside with control box, spin it from south to south, make sure she spins, and make sure that I have enough slack on the loop of coax that feeds the connector on the antenna. Here we go. So we passed the rotation test. Now I'm going to check the standing wave on the antenna, make sure it's flat where I want it in the 10-meter band. Then we're going to seal things up and get it in the air. So we're going to test the antenna with my icom 7800. I'm on AM mode, so I'm going to go down to about the bottom of the band. So there's 28.1. And we're watching the standing wave meter. I'm only putting out about 10 watts. So you can see we have a little bit of standing wave there. Let's go up to like 28.3. Itty bitty bit. 28.4. Flat as can be. And that's the area that I run is between 28.3 and 28.5. There's 28.5, still nice and flat. 28.6, still flat. 28.7, and you can see she's starting to come up a little bit. So I have a really nice dip right in the area that I want to operate on. So the antenna is good to go. I'm going to go out and seal up the coax, and then that antenna is going up and get it on the air. Alright, so we're ready to lift the antenna. I simply have a 3/4 inch drive ratchet that's going to turn this lead screw. She's going to go up. So the initial lifting until you get to about the 45-degree point is a little intense. And believe me, I really keep an eye on this thing, make sure nothing's going to shift. But the main thing to do is not let the tower bounce. So I just take her up nice and smooth. So let's get some. Alright, success. She's up. Takes a lot of cranking with that ratchet. Be nice if I had a motorized way to do it, but for the time that I do this, it's not a big deal. So there's the base in the vertical position, and so is the tower. Alright, let's go in and flip the rotor and watch her spin. Okay, so I just operated the rotor from the control box in the shack. Looks like we're good to go. The initial setting is west because I plan to contact a friend of mine in California that also put up the beam, and he's heading his east so we can talk. And his call is WA6LJR. We'll see you on 28-350, Bill.